There's a lot of important elements to riding a unicycle, and while it may seem difficult at first, with lots of practice and a few good pointers, even you can ride a unicycle as easily as you are currently riding your bicycle. Before we start, it's important that you know some of the main parts of your unicycle. As a beginner, it's important that you pick the right cycle for your needs. This here is a beginning cycle. There are many types of unicycles depending on what you want to do with it. But if you're a beginner, this is a good standard unicycle. Now, it's important to keep in mind that wheel size is important. The smaller the wheel, the easier it is to ride. And that's why if you see some mountain cyclers who go kind of in the hills with their bikes, or not bikes, unicycles, their wheels are at least this high. And that's a lot more difficult to ride than one that's about this size. It's also important that you adjust the shaft for your height. It should be about this high to you so that when you're standing beside it, the saddle, which is this part right here, should be at about mid-hip. Now, it's also important to notice the differences in the saddle from that of a normal bicycle. As you can see, this one is kind of curved, a lot more than a bicycle would be. And it's also very thin right here. That way, when you get on, it kind of clasps your body in it and you can squeeze your thighs so you don't fall off. Getting on is probably the hardest part. In my experience, it's best if you have maybe a chair or a wall that you can brace up against, because that will give you kind of a steady foundation as you're just barely starting to get your balance. But if you don't have that, pedal placement is really important. If you've got your pedals just about even, that's okay, but it makes it really hard because as you step down on this, immediately this pedal comes up, which means that you're going to miss it when you try to go for it with the other foot. So it's important to keep your pedals at about like this, so that one pedal is closer to the ground but not totally close to the ground, and the other is closer to the top but not completely at the top. From there, it's best to put the saddle in between your thighs so that you're ready. From there, you'll step on with this foot, and as you kind of stand up on the unicycle, you'll catch the other pedal with your other foot. So let me give a short demonstration, just like that. And from there, it's like a bicycle. You just pedal and it keeps going. But one thing to keep in mind, unlike a bicycle, most unicycles don't have a chain, which means that however many times this pedal turns, that's exactly the amount of distance that the wheel is going to turn. So if you pedal really hard, you're going to go very fast. But if you pedal slow, you're not going to go fast enough to stay up. With a unicycle, you always have to be in motion or you're going to fall. So it's important to keep in mind that when you start, you're going to fall a lot. And it's important that when you fall, mostly you need to worry about your own safety. Don't worry about the unicycle. These things are built to take a fall because the makers know that you're going to have a lot of them. If you are concerned about your safety, there is some possible safety equipment you may want to invest in. A lot of people like to wear a helmet, which is good because it protects your head. Personally, I don't like it because I think it hurts my balance and peripheral vision. So I don't usually wear a helmet. One thing I will highly recommend, especially if you're starting out, is wrist guards. Because when you start, you're going to fall a lot. And it's just natural instinct to try to break your fall with your hand, and that can lead to some nasty injuries. So if you're really worried about your safety, invest in a pair of wrist guards. From there, and those small pointers, after that, it just takes lots and lots of practice. And keep in mind that you're going to fall. But as long as you get back on, you'll be riding a unicycle in no time.